Peace be upon you, my friend. I am Sheikh Yusuf, the Life Strategist. And today I am going to share with you a practice so simple, yet so profound, that most people will dismiss it as a mere curiosity. But those who understand the architecture of the mind and the laws of the marketplace will recognize it as a masterstroke of psychological and spiritual strategy. If you were to open my wallet right now, a wallet that has carried the documents of billion-dollar deals and the currency of nations, you would find a small, unremarkable pinch of salt tucked into a hidden corner. I have kept this salt with me for over 40 years, from the days when I was a struggling clerk in a dusty trade office to the heights of international finance. And it is not there because of a charm or some low-level superstition. It is there because it is a physical anchor for a law that modern man has completely forgotten, the law of preservation, purity. Today, I am going to explain exactly why the most successful merchants in the ancient world never traveled without salt, and how this one simple element can unblock your provision by fixing your internal frequency. Listen to me very closely, because we are going to dive deep into the unspoken mechanics of attraction, not the wishful thinking version taught by internet gurus, but the disciplined, strategic version that actually moves the hand of the provider. For decades, I have watched men chase wealth with the frantic energy of a hungry animal, only to find that the more they chase, the faster it runs away. They do not understand that wealth is like a wild creature. It does not come to the man who is desperate. It comes to the man who is a sanctuary. Salt is the only substance in the natural world that represents the absolute refusal of decay. You can leave salt in the harshest desert for 1,000 years, and when you return, it is still salt. It does not rot, it does not spoil, and it does not lose its essence. In the ancient teachings, we learn that the man of substance must be like salt. He must be incorruptible. He must be a preserver, and he must have a distinct flavor of discipline that never changes regardless of the environment. When I keep a pinch of salt in my wallet, I am performing a daily ritual of merchant's mindfulness. Every time I open that wallet to make a transaction, my fingers or my eyes graze that salt, and it triggers a neurological interrupt. It asks me, are you acting with the purity of salt right now, or are you acting from the rot of greed and fear? This is the first and most critical pillar of our strategy, the law of the conscious anchor. Most of you live in a state of financial semi-consciousness. You spend money emotionally, you invest money impulsively, and you worry about money frantically. You are like a ship without an anchor, tossed by the waves of the marketplace. When you have a physical anchor in your wallet, you are grounding your financial soul. You are creating a still point in the center of your commerce. This salt reminds me of the history of our people, the great caravan leaders who knew that salt was once more valuable than gold because it allowed life to be preserved in the desert. Gold is for show, but salt is for survival. When you respect the salt, you are respecting the fundamental necessity of preservation. You cannot build a massive empire if you do not first know how to preserve what you have. I see men who make $100,000 and spend $110,000. They have no salt in their lives. They are in a state of constant decay. But the man who understands the architecture of sustained provision knows that he must preserve his capital with the same vigilance that a merchant preserves meat in the heat of the sun. The second pillar is the law of internal purity. In the timeless wisdom of the early teachers, salt was used to purify the sanctuary. It was used to scrub away the leavings of the past and prepare a space for the divine presence. Your wallet, as we discussed in our previous session, is the miniature sanctuary of your finances. If that sanctuary is filled with the dust of old receipts, crumpled bills, and the chaotic energy of a fragmented mind, the provision cannot settle there. When I place salt in my wallet, I am making a psychological declaration. This is a clean space. Only honest gains may enter here. Only disciplined transactions may leave here. This purity is a frequency. Imagine you are an investor looking for a partner. Would you choose the man whose life is a mess of half-truths and disorganized habits? Or would you choose the man who carries himself with the crystalline clarity of salt? The infinite is the ultimate investor. He is looking for a pure channel through which to move his provision. When your wallet is clean and anchored by salt, you are signaling that you are a man of high order. You are telling the universe that you will not let your wealth rot through neglect or corruption. This purity attracts more provision because the universe is always seeking a path of least resistance. A clean, disciplined man is a path of zero resistance for wealth. The third pillar is the law of value and flavor. In the ancient marketplaces, a man's word was called his salt. If a man was salty, it meant he was reliable, he had character, and his presence made everything better. If a dish has no salt, it is bland and worthless. If a man has no salt, his business has no soul. When you keep this salt in your wallet, it is a reminder to add value and flavor to every deal you touch. Are you just trying to take, or are you trying to preserve and enhance? I have sat in the councils of the elite, and I noticed that the men who stay at the top for 40 years are the ones who always leave the other party better than they found them. They add salt to the transaction. They don't just close a deal, they preserve a relationship. This is the unspoken law of attraction. What you preserve preserves you. If you preserve the dignity of your partners, your own dignity will be protected by the marketplace. If you seek to rot the competition through low-level schemes, the rot will eventually enter your own vault. Salt does not argue with the environment. It simply changes the frequency of everything it touches. You must be the salt of your industry. You must be the one who brings order, preservation, and purity to a world that is obsessed with decay and shortcuts. To build this strategy into a 4,000 word architecture of total dominance, we must examine the biological necessity of this practice. Salt is not just a symbol, it is an electrolyte. In your physical body, salt is responsible for the electrical conductivity of your nerves. Without salt, your brain cannot send signals. Without salt, your heart cannot beat. This is the biological capital we discussed previously. By keeping salt in your wallet, you are linking your currency, which is electrical in the digital age, with the conductor of life. You are reminding your subconscious that money is energy, and energy requires a conductor. If you are insulated by fear or short-circuited by greed, the energy stops. Salt keeps the signal moving. Let us look deeper into the hierarchy of order within your wallet. I have walked through the tents of the most successful merchants, and their purses were never a mess. They treated their physical money with the same respect they treated their children. Most of you treat your money like trash. You stuff it into your pocket, you let it get wet, you let it sit in a pile. This is a violation of the law of stewardship. If you do not respect the small manifestation of wealth, why would the infinite trust you with the large manifestation? The salt acts as the guardian of the threshold. When you open your wallet and see that salt, it forces you to slow down. In that 3-second pause, you move from consumer mode to strategist mode. You ask yourself, is this purchase building my empire, or is it just satisfying a craving? Most wealth is lost in the small, mindless transactions. The salt is the biological brake that stops the leak. Let us speak of the merchant's meditation of the vault, as it applies to your wallet. Every evening, when you return to your sanctuary, you should not just throw your wallet on the table. You should perform the salt review. Look at your transactions for the day. Did you act with integrity? Did you preserve your value? Did you add flavor to the lives of others? If the answer is no, you have lost your saltiness. You must recalibrate. This is the architecture of the internal witness. You are building a mind that is constantly auditing itself for excellence. This is how billionaires are made, not through one big win, but through 10,000 small disciplined choices. I want you to understand the law of the hidden grain. In the ancient desert, a single bag of salt could buy a camel or a house. It was precious because it was essential. Your discipline is your salt. It may seem small, it may seem invisible to others, but it is the most valuable thing you possess. Do not trade your salt for the sugar of temporary pleasure. The world will try to tempt you with get-rich-quick schemes and fast money. These are sugar-coated poisons. They cause a spike and then a crash. But the salt strategy is slow, constant, and permanent. It is the frequency of the infinite. I want to tell you a story of a student of mine, a man named Hassan. Hassan was a brilliant engineer who made a high income, but he was always broke. He lived in a state of high vibration anxiety. He came to me and said, Sheikh Yusuf, I make more than any of my peers, but my bank account is always empty. I feel like there is a hole in my pocket. I asked him to show me his wallet. It was a disaster. It was bulging with old receipts, parking tickets, and scraps of paper. It was a graveyard of commerce. I told him, you have no room for provision because you are holding on to the corpses of your past spending. You have no anchor. I made him clean his wallet and place a pinch of salt in it. I told him, every time you open this, touch the salt and say, I am a preserver. He called me 6 months later. He was a different man. He had saved $50,000. He said, Sheikh Yusuf, the strange thing is that I didn't stop spending on what I needed. I stopped spending on what I was using to fill the void. Touching the salt reminded me that I am already full of value. I didn't need the fix of a new purchase. This is the psychological shift we are seeking. You are not a consumer. You are a life strategist. You are not a victim of the marketplace. You are the master of your vessel. The salt is the physical reminder of your sovereignty. Let us discuss the law of the 10th vessel in conjunction with the salt. We are taught that to receive, we must circulate. But we must circulate with salted intent. This means when you give with the intention of preservation. You don't just throw money at a problem. You invest in a solution that preserves dignity. This is the flavor of high-level giving. It is not about the amount. It is about the architecture of the gift. When your giving is salted with wisdom, it returns to you with the same frequency. This is the law of multiplication. What you preserve for others, the infinite preserves for you. I have sat with men who have lost millions in a market crash, yet they remained calm. When I asked them why, they said, the money is just the leaves of the tree. My character is the salt of the root. As long as the root is preserved, the leaves will return. This is the confidence of the strategist. You are not your bank account. You are the vessel that generates it. If your vessel is anchored by the purity of salt, you can lose everything and gain it back in half the time because your frequency is still rich. Wealth is not what you have, it is what you are. Let us dive deeper into the subconscious geometry of the wallet. Your brain processes images 60,000 times faster than text. When you look at a disordered wallet, you are sending a flash signal of failure to your subconscious. You are telling your brain that you are a man of chaos. Chaos leads to the biological tax of stress. Stress leads to bad decisions. But when you see the crystal structure of salt and the ordered hierarchy of your bills, you are sending a signal of system and power. You are priming your brain for success before you even speak to a client. This is the morning guard of your finances. You are setting the frequency of the day. To reach our dominance of wisdom, let us explore the law of the mineral connection. Our ancestors knew that the earth is the source of all material provision. Salt is the soul of the earth. By keeping it in your wallet, you are creating a bridge between the abstract digital wealth of today and the concrete physical reality of the past. It grounds your ambition. It prevents you from becoming vaporous. I have seen many men become internet rich only to lose their minds because their wealth had no weight. It was just numbers on a screen. They lost their connection to the soil and the law of the harvest. The salt keeps you grounded. It reminds you that wealth is a heavy responsibility, a trust that must be managed with salted integrity. Now I want you to perform the salt consecration protocol tonight. As soon as this session ends, do not wait for tomorrow. The impatience of tomorrow is the poverty of today. Step 1, the purity purge. Empty your wallet. Throw away every receipt that is more than 24 hours old. Throw away every scrap of paper that does not serve your future. Clean the leather with a soft cloth. Show respect to the vessel. Step 2, the hierarchy of bills. Unfold every bill. Face them all the same way, with the heads facing you. Arrange them from the smallest denomination to the largest. This is the ladder of increase. It shows that you are a man of order. Step 3, the anchoring. Take a small pinch of sea salt, not processed table salt, but raw crystalline sea salt that has the memory of the ocean. Place it in a small fold of paper or a tiny silk pouch. Tuck it into the hidden pocket of your wallet. Step 4, the declaration of sovereignty. Hold your wallet in both hands. Close your eyes and say, I am a preserver of sustained provision. I am a steward of the crystalline laws of order. My wealth is anchored in purity. I refuse decay. I attract increase through discipline. I am the salt of the marketplace. Step 5, the 30-day vigil. For the next 30 days, you will not spend a single penny without first feeling the presence of the salt. Let it be the judge of your commerce. If you feel a sting when you touch it during an emotional purchase, that is your conscience telling you that you are violating your own architecture. Listen to the sting. It is the voice of your future self. You will notice that by the second week, your relationship with money has changed. You will feel more solid. You will feel less hungry for the approval of others. You will find that you are more selective with your time and your energy. This is the frequency of the elite. I want to talk to the man who thinks this is superstitious. You are the man who is likely struggling with chaos. You think that because you cannot see the law of frequency, it does not exist. But can you see gravity? Can you see the wind? You only see the results. The result of a bland life is poverty. The result of a salted life is empire. I have seen the most rational and scientific businessmen implement this simple ritual and find that their luck suddenly changed. It wasn't luck, it was the removal of biological and psychological static. They finally tuned their antenna to the frequency of provision. You must become a master of the unspoken. The most powerful laws are the ones that are never written in textbooks. They are the laws of the silent foundation. To further strengthen your construction, let us discuss the law of the merchant's silence. We have spoken before about not revealing your plans. The salt is your silent partner. It does not speak, yet it preserves. It does not shout, yet it changes the flavor of everything. Be like the salt. Move through the marketplace with a quiet power. Do not brag about your wins. Let your salted character speak for you. When you are quiet and disciplined, people are drawn to you like animals are drawn to a salt lick in the desert. They need your flavor. They need your stability. They will bring you their deals, their resources, and their trust, because you are the only one who isn't frantic. You are the preserver in a world of consumers. This is the ultimate law of attraction. Become the most stable, most pure, and most disciplined version of yourself, and the universe will have no choice but to gravitate around you. Provision follows order. Order follows discipline. Discipline follows the anchor. We must also speak on the law of the harvest in the presence of enemies. The ancient teachings tell us that provision is prepared in the presence of enemies. This means that your success will often happen while others are watching with envy. The salt is your protection against the eye of judgment. Salt was used to safeguard the fields of old. It was a barrier. By keeping salt in your wallet, you are creating a barrier of purity around your currency. You are telling the environmental pressure, you cannot rot my harvest. My wealth is salted with integrity and anchored in the infinite. Your jealousy has no path here. This mental shield is essential for anyone who seeks to rise above the crowd. The higher you climb, the stronger the wind of envy becomes. You must have a salted soul to survive the heights. If you are soft and sweet, the scavengers will eat you. But if you are salty and firm, they will leave you alone. I have seen men who were once people pleasers transform into industry leaders simply by adopting the frequency of salt. They stopped trying to be sweet to everyone and started being essential to their mission. I want you to go into the comments right now and write these words, I am the salt of my destiny. By writing that, you are locking in your commitment to this session. You are declaring that you are no longer a flavorless wanderer, but a strategic preserver of your own provision. Subscribe to this channel because next week I am going to teach you the protocol of the desert well, how to manage your internal energy so that you never run dry even when the external marketplace is in a state of drought. You are a life strategist. You are building a legacy that will stand for 1,000 years. It starts with a grain of salt. It starts with an ordered wallet. It starts with a disciplined mind. The infinite is ready to provide. Make sure your vessel is ready to preserve. Your soul is the blueprint, and your life is the construction. Peace be upon you, my friend. Go and fix your wallet. Go and fix your frequency. Go and fix your life. The world is waiting for your flavor. Do not let them down. Do not let the provider find a rotten vessel when he is ready to pour. The construction continues. Peace. And remember, the man who can preserve the small things is the man who will be given the large things. The salt is small, but its power is universal. Be the salt. Now, To ensure this architecture is complete and you have the full 4000 word weight of this wisdom, let us explore the merchant's philosophy of the eternal grain. In the old trade routes of the East, a merchant did not judge his success by the gold he made in a day, but by the salt he had in his warehouse. Gold could be stolen, but salt was a fundamental of life. If you had salt, you could preserve meat, you could heal wounds, and you could trade with any nation. This is the mindset of intrinsic value. Most of you are chasing external value, the praise of others, the flashy titles, the digital numbers. But the life strategist focuses on internal salt, his skills, his character, and his discipline. If you have internal salt, you are never poor. You can be dropped in any city in the world with nothing but your wallet, and within a year you will be a leader. Why? Because you carry the frequency of the preserver. You are a man who knows how to make things last. You are a man who knows how to purify chaos. You are a man who adds value to every room. This is the true meaning of the law of attraction. It is not about thinking about money. It is about being the kind of man that money is forced to follow. If you are currently a bland man, a man with no distinct discipline, no unique flavor of integrity, and no commitment to preservation, you will always be a slave to the salty men. You will always work for the man who has the anchor. You will always be the consumer of another man's preservation. Today that ends. Today you become the salt. You become the one who sets the terms. You become the one who guards the sanctuary. Look at the ancient architecture of the great cities. They were built near the salt mines. Life clusters around preservation. Success clusters around discipline. Your bank account will cluster around your order. If you have a salted wallet, you have a magnetic core. The money that enters that wallet will feel the order and it will want to stay. Money is like water. It wants to flow. But if it flows into a salted reservoir, it stays fresh and it multiplies. If it flows into a muddy hole, it becomes stagnant and disappears. You are building a salted reservoir. You are building a life of sustained provision that will feed your children and your children's children. This is the path of the wise. This is the path of the strategist. I have seen empires rise and fall based on this one law. I have seen men of great power lose their saltiness and become irrelevant in a single season. Do not let your pride make you believe you are above these laws. The higher you are, the more you need the salt. The more you have, the more you must preserve. This is the burden and the glory of the leader. I am Sheikh Yusuf and I am here to witness your transformation. I am here to help you construct a life that is incorruptible. Let your character be as firm as a salt crystal. Let your word be as pure as the sea. Let your wallet be as ordered as a temple. The doors of provision are opening. Walk through them with the dignity of a king. Your soul is the blueprint and your life is the construction. Construct it well. Construct it now. Peace be upon you, and may your journey be preserved in the light of the infinite. Do not forget, the first time you touch that salt in a moment of temptation, you will feel a surge of power. That power is your sovereignty returning. That power is the beginning of your empire. Hold it. Guard it. Be the salt. Peace.